Welcome to today's collective reading. This is Trinity Gaia Consciousness, and my name is Sally. And I would like to start today's reading with some resonance, setting the intention and the tone for this space to be you time, you space, where your higher self, your future self, and your spirit team can give you heads up about things to come, validate for you synchronicities that have already come through, and possibly help you have some insight into energy dynamics going on around you and ways in which they can mirror what's going on inside you. Some of these synchronicities, they may be new, they may be familiar. And I won't necessarily know their significance, but I'm happy to help. As you can see, I've already pulled a card, and this is take 2 of this particular reading. It was too important to not do this reading. But I've set some boundaries, and we'll see how things go with those new boundaries. Okay, so this particular card is a gatekeeper card. It is a portal card. There is the meeting of the earth and the water, grounding in the intuitive. Then you have the sun behind it. So there's will, there's personal, life-giving creation power. And this gatekeeper, it's not, like a guardian or a guide or someone else. It's not another ego. What it is you. There is a future version of you who has come back to this pivotal moment in your life where they had walked through this portal, and there were lessons, confidences, aspects of self that things would have gone a little bit different had they made sure that these lessons were anchored in before they crossed this boundary, before they went through this portal. And what's on the other side of this portal is you. It's yours. Nobody and nothing else can possibly, take this. It's yours. It has your name on it. There's no one else that could even they can't counterfeit you. They can't copy you. The concept is ridiculous. It's so silly to think that Source would not know. It's just silly. So whatever is challenging you here, we're going to take a deeper dive and help you possibly understand what it is that this aspect of your future self, which aspect of future self, this is your future self, come back. There is one thing that you can always rely on. Do you want the best life you could possibly have for yourself? Do you seek happiness, joy, freedom? Even if you're saying contradictory, so much of communication is nonverbal. People could say mean, nasty things, but everything else is broadcasting how painful it is to say those things. The truth is, we all just want to be happy. And that is one thing you can count on, that you want that for yourself. That's what this gatekeeper is. This is you loving yourself. Now, this deck has been making quite the comeback in my readings here recently. It's called the Feral Psychic. And the Feral Psychic deck, it really highlights specific things that can be at times rather like they'll get you in your feels. And that's a good thing in that if you become angry, defensive, upset, it's because you're being able, like you're bringing those emotions up to the surface. And this is facilitating that. This is helping you do that so that you can really hear that part of yourself from a new you. You're not the same person you were when you were first initially wounded, when this hurt that you're protecting and defending against initially occurred. You have grown, you have evolved, you have learned, you have experienced life since then. So the reason that this may come out is because you're being given the opportunity to transmute, to change how you relate to this particular wound. And you can do that more effectively when you're feeling that wound. When you're talking about it like this, you're not necessarily in your feels. So it's not really changing the feeling part of that wound. It's intellectualizing it, not feeling it. And having that balance of both the emotional and the physical, the heart and the mind, both, is going to assist you in alchemizing and changing it more effectively, more completely. So, what exactly are we highlighting for the collective here? What exactly needs changing? Okay, they're telling me I have to use the exact same ones that came out earlier. So, okay. Those two I will anchor in. 3. I'll do the 3. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Nope. That's where things got weird. So I'm exploring this in the moment with you guys. I'm going with the flow. Oh, that's... I got the instructions in there. It's funny. Okay. Where are you? There we are. Okay. So when I set the boundary, I was like, and I put them back in the deck. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so they were, okay. So what exactly, kind of has been going on and shifting and changing within you has the answer to that question, like, what is this gatekeeper about? And the card originally came out inverted. So it's changing how you relate to this. And it's the unshakable. The path may be brutal and full of obstacles, but your purpose is stronger. Keep going, and it will all be worth it in the end. So when you first started this journey, this experience where you knew, like, I want to change how I relate to all the things that are holding me back from living the life that I want to live, a life where I feel expansive, where I feel I could be authentic and present and real and passionate and create. And, you could add your own words to this, your own anchors, whatever this may be. You wanted an authentic life. And that takes courage because, this is like climbing Mount Everest and you're at the base of the mountain and you're looking up there like, yep, all right, I got everything in place. I have everything I need. We're doing this. And instead of constantly looking at that peak and, getting kind of hung up on the obstacles that you need to overcome, the recognition of one step at a time, and you'll find yourself at the first major obstacle. And we're shifting from inverted. And then you overcome that, and we're here. And then we're here. And you're at the top. You're at the top. And you look back at everything you overcame, all the challenges, all of it, and how much you learned about yourself and about others around you in the process. And we have like dream catchers and little like talismans, and you collected memories, treasures, moments, keepsakes along the way, wisdom of yourself. And even in this image, you could just see that this is not necessarily the optimal place for this really strong, healthy tree to have chosen to grow, or to have been able to overcome the adversity to become this big, this abundant. But you're at the top. You've achieved something that at one point you thought, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But you did. So it's an acknowledgement of everything that led you here, and to give yourself some credit and honor the wisdom from the hurts that has brought you here. Honor yourself. Because you know that you didn't like necessarily do this alone. You had help from all of you. Past, present, future, inner child, your inner teenager, like all these different versions of you that made this journey with you. We actually put this here because this is like the anchor. The next was, okay, so what do we need to know about what is actually being looked at to know if, it's time, if you have learned what you needed to learn about yourself, about your own fine-tuning of discernment? What is it that this future version of you is protecting your future by making sure that you know this? Because think of it this way. This is future you. And they're looking at this thing and this thing and this thing that happened. And they're like, man, if I had made sure that I had faith and confidence and certainty, even, not even just faith, that this is the truth before I walked through this portal in my life into this next stage and interacted in this situation, in that situation, in this situation, this probably wouldn't have happened this way. And this probably wouldn't have happened this way. And right now, I have the opportunity to reach back to this person that I was just before I walked through this portal. And I'm keeping a very good eye on this particular aspect of me. And I want to make sure that I am very confident in this before I move into this new chapter. Because these instances and their outcomes, they don't have to play out this way. And I'd like them not to. So your future you is coming back to you right now. What is it that they are really paying close attention to? And this came out. Smoke signals. The raven, the crow, many different shamanic, or, the oldest spiritual, religious, possible construct of how to communicate and how the divine communicates with us. Shamanism. All over the world, the crow and the raven is known as messenger. So you have been being tested quite a bit with your discernment, with your telepathic, the projections, the psychic interaction. You've been dealing with a lot of projections. So smoke signals. Something subtle is trying to get your attention. Don't wait for the full fire to believe it's real. These projections, what they have been doing, and what you have been going through and refining and refining and refining and fine-tuning and adjusting your discernment to, is what is you and what is not you. So they have been projecting emotions into you that make no sense for what's going on in your environment. Why do I feel so sad? I was fine 5 minutes ago. Nothing is happening in my world to make me feel like this. There's no reason for it. So you have now gotten to a point where you know that these emotions they're not yours. They're being projected to you, even amplified in that projection to you. And once you have been able to say, this is not my emotion, it completely changes how you interact with experiencing that emotion. And you start setting boundaries. And you start reclaiming your power, saying, you don't get to do this. You don't get to have access to my energy. You do not have my informed conscious consent. And if ever you thought that you did, it's revoked. You have set boundaries. What is really being focused on, because it's talking about subtle. Now these projections, they're loud. At times they're possibly even clumsy. They try to make you think that they're your inner critic. No, you've never talked to yourself this way. Others maybe have at times, and sometimes no one's ever said these things to you. This is not you. And the main reason why, it would make logical sense, it's not just from a heart space and emotion space, as to why this would be necessary, is because you need to be able to tell the difference between good and bad, between those that wish you well and those that desire to harm you. Even to the point of it being almost like caller ID. If you're telepathically communicating with one person, but someone else can cloak themselves, pretend to be that person, and you can't tell the difference, that's where this is. This is determining whether or not you can discern between someone pretending energetically to be someone they're not and the actual person. That's what this is. That's a really good metaphor, and at times, that's literally what it is, depending on your unique situation. The higher view, the zoom out, is the divine will not interact with you the same way as these projections, because the divine stands apart. The divine is something that we can't quantify. We can't put the divine in a box. We can't. We want to, but we can't. At times we try to pretend that we have, but it's more just because we don't understand, and we, as a group, as communities in humanity, we've made ourselves feel better for having done so. But the truth is we really don't know. We would have to be able, as one conscious being, be able to perceive all dimensions simultaneously to really understand it. And even then, we don't have the language for it. we grow and we know, and we're continuing to grow and know, but we just don't have the language for it. So that intelligence will not communicate with you the same as someone who is projecting their emotion into you. And someone, literally could be an individual in your life. They may not consciously know what they're doing, but their soul, their spiritual aspect does. But they as a person may not. And because of that, I don't recommend you walking up to this person who you think is projecting their negative at you and being like, the hell is wrong with you? I know what you're doing, because they may not have a clue what they're doing. They're not necessarily awake. You are. And because they're not awake, they haven't done the work to know, to control, to direct, to intend. So, the divine has been reaching you through subtlety because the contrast stands apart. And in ancient times, meaning like before modern technology, the fastest way to, I don't know, say like you're China, for example, the fastest way to let like the emperor, the leader, whatnot, who's hundreds, possibly even thousands of miles away, know what's going on was through smoke signals. And they would light certain colors, whatnot, and let everybody know what's going on, and then they could mobilize and get things done. So I'm going to try to make this fast. I only have 5% left. So it was the fastest way to communicate. So that's how the divine has been speaking to you, is through subtlety. And the last card here is the projections. Not everything you feel is a fact. Something your mind is filling in the blanks with. Sometimes your mind is filling in the blanks with old stories, which supported all of this. And this was to be, how are you actually interacting with this? And the fact that this is take 2 tells you that I drew new boundaries, which means you can draw new boundaries, which means it's possible. What are you willing to allow to have access to your energy, and what aren't you? What are you willing to have faith and interact with, that it won't actually burn you when you touch it? What are you willing to draw a line in the sand with? That is what this portal will be. And this is not like a test you can fail. It's more of a knowing where this line is, and if it needs to be adjusted, that it's actually you loving yourself by helping yourself understand that that line needs to be a little different than it is. And that is okay. You're learning. You are not expected to be perfect right out of the gate. You're learning. And if you don't give yourself the opportunity to learn, you won't have that boundary anchored in authentically. So, I'm going to end the reading here. The divine, the love within me, sees and honors the divine and the love within you. Namaste.